In SwiftUI, there isn't a built-in infinite carousel component because SwiftUI focuses on providing a minimalist, declarative framework. This design philosophy encourages flexibility and customization, allowing developers to create unique interfaces tailored to their specific needs. However, the absence of a ready-made infinite carousel means that developers often have to implement this feature themselves. Fortunately, this video will give you an infinite carousel view, showing you just how straightforward it can be to add it to your SwiftUI project with a few simple steps. One of the last missing views in SwiftUI is an infinitely scrolling and automatically scrolling kind of carousel view. And today I'm going to show you how easy it is to add it into your project. Go ahead and check out. There's a link in the description for a 30% discount. So it's at store.rebeloper.com infinite-carousel. And of course, take a look at the description for a 30% off link. So I have prepared here a demo project so I can show you how all of this looks like. Basically, this is what it is. So it's just going to automatically scroll through the elements that you provide to the infinite carousel. And you can also slide automatically. As you can see, it's just going to go automatically to the side. And of course, we may go backwards if we choose to. And if we stop, we can just, rely on the automatic scrolling feature. Now, this is a great way to maybe promote some products inside your app or, just highlight some stuff. This is also added into a scroll view, just so you know that you can add it into a scroll view. So it's really, really versatile. So let's start thinking about how we could add this without the infinite carousel, and then talk about the downsides of it, or maybe just why it's not actually possible to add it. The code is really, really hard to manage. And then I will introduce you to Infinite Carousel. Again, the link is down in the description for a 30% discount. Now, how would we go about this? Well, first off, I have my model right over here. It's hex color. It has an index and a hex. And here you can see a custom initializer for the color view in SwiftUI with a hex string. Okay, so right over here, I'm just having an array of items of these hex colors. And when this view appears, I'm just populating them. Also, I'm going to use a cell, which is basically a navigation link, has a label. Basically, the label is the same as the destination with a little bit of tweaks. Go ahead and check out this code. Here is the label. Okay, what you already saw. And that's it. That's my kind of starter project. Now, how would we go about this? Well, you could just go and add a scroll view, and that has an axis of horizontal, and then we would just have an H stack, or maybe a lazy H stack. There we go, lazy H stack. And then right over here, we would have a for each. For the items, of course. Then we have the items, and then maybe we can just use the cell. Yeah, let's just use the cell already because it just uses the item. And this is the easiest one. Of course, we would just need to have the hex color to be identifiable, but I'm not going to go that route. We don't really need that with the infinite carousel. I'm just going to provide the ID of the the index, and that will just be identifiable because, as you can see, the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's see how this looks like. Let's build and run and see what we got. This is kind of the universal approach, and yeah, as you can see, it just adds them in there. That's fine. Okay, but first of all, it does not automatically scroll, it does not take up the space of our the whole screen. So let's try to figure that out. So right over here on the cell, I would just, well, first of all, let's just add maybe a geometry stack. A geometry stack. Geometry stack is one thing that I did create. Go ahead and check out the YouTube video. And by the way, subscribe to see all of these new improvements of SwiftUI views. It is a geometry reader that we need right over here. So geometry reader, and we want to add a proxy right over here, proxy in, because we need the size. And then let me just jump to definition. The cell has a basic padding. So we don't really know the padding. Well, let's just cheat a little bit because otherwise we don't really know the actual padding. Let's just have a padding of 12. And then we would just set up the cells width. So let's just have frame. And then we would just have a width of the proxy dot size dot width minus 24. 2 times 12. Let's see if this worked. And again, as you can see, it's quite cumbersome. Okay. Now it's squashing it, but it seems to be setting the size, the width of it correctly. Okay. Let's add also, and we also have invalid frame dimension negative. Let's again not worry about this. I told you it will be quite cumbersome. So let's have the proxy size. Let's just see width, and let's divide it by 2. Multiplied by 0.5. Let's see how that looks like. You can see it's quite cumbersome, and it does not really put it in there. Maybe we need to put it onto the for each. And as you can see, it's getting hard really, really fast. And I believe that's because of the lazy horizontal stack. So let's add it onto the horizontal stack. Okay, so the height is there. But we do need to set the width onto the cell. So let's do that. I'm going to remove the height from the cell and leave only the height on the VStack, the lazy VStack. Let's build and run once more. Beta succeeded. Great. But now, what gives? Oh, I just tapped on it. Oh my goodness. Now we are having all of these zeros right over there. Let me just set up maybe 120 for the height. Oh, yeah. Let's revert that. My mistake. We need a dot right over there. Okay, let's build and run. Finally, we should see all of the cells. And it's really strange that Xcode did not complain about not adding a dot before the frame. But anyways, that's another story. Okay, we can click on them, and then let's slide. Can't we slide? Come on, man. We can't actually slide. And why would that be? Maybe because of the geometry reader. Let's see if we can scroll. Yeah, the scroll view is fine. Let's remove the scroll view. Maybe that's making us not be able to have a scroll, a slide into. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, of course. Now we have a limitation. That's fine. We can live with that. Let's say we can live with that. And then there is this pagination stuff, and pagination. We need to add a scroll view effect right over here. And also, please note that now this is peaking, and we have the scrolling, this bar right over here that it's showing that we're actually scrolling. We might want to remove that because this is automatic, and we don't want to disturb the UI over here. And also, how would we, and I'm not going to go in there, but how would we go about automatically scrolling? Or let's just talk about how would we move into the next one. Well, we could, the 0 one, with the one with the 0. Well, if this is being shown, that we could just scroll to the 0 one, but that would just scroll back. It's not infinite. We would need to add all of these items one after the other. But what happens if I want to scroll backwards, like this, to just show after the 0, the previous one, the 4 one? A lot of issues, and Infinite Carousel has it all resolved. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of hard nuts to crack and a lot of code to write, but luckily for you, I have already written this. It's inside Infinite Carousel. Go ahead and check out the link in the description for a 30% off. And it's basically these files. You just need to drag and drop this Infinite Carousel library into your project. And let me just revert all of this. So you can remove all of this, and let's leave the scroll view. And also, I think we just added a custom padding, so we could just calculate that. But that is kind of hacky, What we need is this Infinite Carousel. So Infinite Carousel, and as you can see, we have two initializers, one with or without the duration. I'm just going to go with the most complex one. If you omit the duration between the automatic slides is 3 seconds. So basically that's what it does. So the data, you can see that the data here needs to be equatable, and that's what I did for the hex color model. Why does it need to be equatable? Well, in the code, you can take a look at it. You will see that we are using the onChangeView modifier to listen to changes of this data, and that has to have the model to be equatable. So that's why. It doesn't really have to be identifiable either. So we just add in the items, an array of equatable models, and then the duration, let's just go for 4 seconds. As I told you, default value, if you omit this, is 3. And then in the content, we are going to get back each and every equatable, each and every item in our case. So let's just have the item. And then, of course, I'm just going to pass it down to my cell view, which I already created. And believe it or not, that's just it. So let's build and run, and let's see how all of this looks like right now. And yeah, you've seen it at the beginning of the video. It just starts off with the first element, and after 4 seconds, it just jumps to the next element. And we can just scroll over here manually and also scroll back manually if we choose to. And of course, it's just picking it up at the view, at the item that you just left the scroll, the manual scroll. And basically, that's it. It couldn't be much easier. Now, the magic, of course, is inside Infinite Carousel. Go ahead and check it out. It's at store.rebeloper.com/infinite-carousel. And make sure that you don't miss out the 30% off discount link. There will be only 5 of them. So make sure to grab them quickly. Otherwise, it's at store.rebeloper.com/infinite-carousel.